House of the Dragon Season 2 has now completed shooting, which is big news in two different ways. Number one, it's one of, if not the best show on television right now. And number two, how the heck did they finish shooting this thing when a writer and an actor strike has been going on? Well, those answers are given to us by the folks over at Variety, who wrote the following. The hit HBO show finished filming in its second season during the Hollywood strikes. Even though most major television shows were forced to halt production over the summer because their cast and crew were members of the WGA and SAG-AFTRA, House of the Dragon Season 2 was permitted to continue filming since scripts were already complete and everyone involved was working under the United Kingdom union contracts. So that comes us from Variety. Now, I'll tell you why that surprised me. I thought that I understand there's European Union rules and different unions and stuff like that. But there are a number of people in House of the Dragon who, while members of those European unions, are also members of the SAG union. So I thought they would have to be striking too, regardless. I guess not. I guess that's not the case. So House of the Dragon Season 2 shot. So Variety also went on to say they are aiming to now release on schedule, which is summer of 2024. So we're about 9 months away probably from House of the Dragon Season 2. And I cannot wait. I mean, between that and Last of Us, I don't know what the best show on TV is the last 2 or 3 years. I thought the Lord of the Rings show was going to be the best show on TV in years. Yeah, I still liked it more than most people, but it didn't come anywhere.
It had a lot of good moments.
It had its moments, but it didn't come anywhere near my expectations. It came nowhere close to my expectations.
So excited.
And it ended up being like House of the Dragon and Last of Us just absolutely ruled. And just incredible. Cannot wait to see this thing come back. But it raises a question for me. I wonder if, as in the future, now I'm just, speculating here, but if sometime in the future, as because these writer strikes or writer contracts and actors contracts, they only last 3 years. They very rarely go on strike, but I mean, they only last 3 years. I wonder if some TV networks or some studios might look at this and say, we know we're going to be coming into a contract logjam in 18 months. Let's take this show that we were going to shoot in Atlanta, or this show that we were going to shoot in Los Angeles, or that we were going to shoot in New York. Let's go overseas and film it in Europe. Let's do it under the European contracts and get it there. So even if strikes happen here, we can pull a House of the Dragon and still continue shooting, make our show, even though it's going to HBO and HBO Max and all that kind of stuff. I wonder if this is something that maybe the unions are going to look to close the loophole on. I don't know. Either way, guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, Vessi. Now, like me, I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Vessi, the shoe that claims to be incredibly comfortable and waterproof on top of that. Well, these claims are really interesting to me because as a Canadian who walked around in a lot of snow, and as somebody who likes to go camping and hiking with his wife on the weekends, there's nothing more uncomfortable and horrible than walking around in wet feet. So after receiving my first pair of Vessis and noticing how incredibly good looking the shoes are and how mind-boggling comfortable and flexible they are, the first thing I did was I took them into the backyard to put it to the supreme waterproof test and dipped my feet in my pool. Guys, my feet were bone dry, and like 20 seconds after having them in the pool and I touched them, the shoes themselves were also bone dry. Guys, seriously, these shoes are stupidly comfortable, they look great, and they absolutely lived up to the claim of being waterproof and keeping my feet dry. I absolutely love my Vessi shoes. So guys, if you want shoes that are good looking, are ridiculously comfortable, and on top of all that waterproof, you need to head to vessi.com/Campea and get yourselves a pair today. Go to vessi.com/Campea and get shoes for your best summer yet. Chris, I'm thrilled. House of the Dragon Season 2 actually finished production.
Yeah.
Although, as a member of SAG, can you shed any more light on this, on how this works? Again, like some people are members of SAG, yet under the other union. How did this all work? And could there be repercussions of this, or could we see this affect other productions moving forward? How do you see it?
So it would actually have been illegal for them to strike based on a labor law written in 1992. So there is the Trade Union and Labor Relations Consolidation Act of 1992. And under Section 224, it says that it is illegal for the UK to sympathy strike with their fellow actors or other unions across the pond. So this comes from the Hollywood Reporter. This was back in July. Daniel Parsons, who's a employment law partner at the UK law firm Irwin Mitchell, explains it thusly. Equity cannot simply call a strike in sympathy with SAG-AFTRA members in the US, as this would be likely to be classed as a secondary action, which is unlawful in the UK. So they could not strike. And if they wanted to and did so, they'd get in legal trouble.
But what about actors who are members of SAG and members of the other union? How does
Because
that
they're
cover them?
working under the UK contract,
different
this
producer.
labor law is the one that's going to kind of trump everything else.
That's
so
fascinating.
that's the
Because
legal
they'd be
loophole.
getting paid in Europe. So
Exactly. They're getting paid out by European companies on that UK contract. So that's how that all works. Because, yeah, that was a big to-do at first when the union strike was first announced, both for the writers and the actors, just because, you know, other shows like Bad Sisters on Apple TV, the writer for that was saying how she felt so weird going forward in production, but she's part of a UK Writers Association. She's part of that union. And it was, but my friends are all doing this and I work in the US, so it feels kind of weird. So that's how that kind of loophole happened. Now, I'm sure smart executives might have seen all of this and gone, oh, yeah, 3 years from now, let's see if we can do a whole bunch of production over in London. We can work on those sound stages. We can be like Star Wars. Let's go. Let's do it. I am wondering how my union is already tackling that as well. I'm wondering if there are going to be any provisionary issues in there of, well, within this amount of time, this amount of labor has to be done in the US, or this has to be done through these payroll companies or something like that. I'm sure it's going to be a bunch of weird nitty gritty legalese minutia that they'll fight for. That all down, really excited about House of the Dragon coming back, especially because I feel like we all made this huge arduous gap in between everything of we're not getting this show for so long. Oh my gosh, there's going to be an even bigger time jump. Oh, this is going to be wild. I feel like we're getting this right on time. I just remember
feel
us
like-
reporting on it and being like, oh, it's so far away.
I feel like because the actor strikes and the writer strikes took place, it
Time
kind of like,
dilation?
kind of like, oh, all this was going, everything stopped, so we didn't even think about it. And it's like, hey, we've actually hit the
Yeah.
deadline for this.
They did their thing.
But let's not forget too, when House of the Dragon first ended, and then I think it was like the next day or two where people were asking the creator when is season 2 coming out, and he said something like it wasn't that the next year, but the following year.
They said it's probably at least 2 years is what they said.
And I
yeah.
think that hurts, especially if you love the show like a lot. Just to hear that, it seems like a long time, but after everything that's happened, it's right around the corner now.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.